An accomplished ophthalmologist turned politician, Patrick Ho served as a secretary in the SAR government before devoting himself to civil diplomacy. A US court has sentenced him to 3 years in jail and a $400,000 fine for bribery and money laundering. Hong Kong Connection probed the case following the trial, the personal and material evidence disclosed, to reconstruct how Patrick Ho, as Secretary General of the China Energy Fund Committee, used his ties with a former UN General Assembly president to build a network spanning Africa and the Middle East, Central America and Eastern Europe, and whether his actions have anything to do with China's Belt and Road Initiative.
呢張亦都係當時宣誓嘅情況。咁何先生亦都講咗，不論係咪公職人員咧，我哋都係要講誠信，甚至我哋每一位市民咧，亦都要講誠信嘅。
Patrick Che met Patrick Ho when the latter became a bureau secretary. 3 years ago, Che set up the Integrity of Public Officials Concern Group. He immediately invited Patrick Ho to be the honorary chairman. When Ho was convicted of bribery, Patrick Che remained steadfast in his trust in Ho.
我覺得何生就唔會做呢啲違法嘅事，咁但係公司嘅嘢我哋都唔清楚，當時嘅情形亦都唔清楚，好難去用一個評價。佢好想令到香港更美好，同埋咧佢好願意去幫助一啲弱勢社群，同埋佢唔要求有咩回報。Hello， 喂，好耐冇見，哇！點啊？喂，上次佢喺北京嗰次你有冇去？
Patrick Che sometimes goes to the mainland with finance professionals and has many friends in politics and business. He notes Patrick Ho has always had a patriotic image. But this time, officials were provoked in sensitive matters, so political and business circles refrained from making high-profile statements, only showing sympathy in private.
係好 surprise， 因為當時咁嘅突然間一個咁好嘅人，一個專業嘅一個醫生，名佢有啦，利佢自己都有足夠，社會地位有好多人好尊重佢，所以咧各方面佢都有，但係佢缺乏一樣嘢就係對嗰個所謂嘅政治環境咧係唔係咁敏感。
Besides Patrick Ho, the key protagonists in the case were also the mainland private enterprise CEFC China Energy and its think tank, China Energy Fund Committee. The committee was established in Hong Kong in 2010 as a non-governmental body engaged in energy and cultural diplomacy. After Patrick Ho was arrested, our reporter last year visited the think tank's office in Wan Chai. No one was at work.
The Belt and Road Initiative is a bridge connecting a China dream with the world, with the American dream, and into the world dream.
As the Secretary General of the China Energy Fund Committee, Patrick Ho was active in the past few years, until the end of 2017, when he was arrested by the US government. 8 charges state in his role in the committee between 2014 and 2016, he bribed African heads of state and senior officials with $2.9 million, or about 23 million Hong Kong dollars, in exchange for CEFC China Energy's interests in oil exploitation in African countries. Hong Kong Connection's reporter went to the US court hearing the case to review documents and evidence, and found more extensive involvement than initially disclosed. Charges mentioned a middleman introduced Patrick Ho to African officials. This can be seen as the source of the whole case. This mysterious person's identity was only exposed at the trial. He was the president of the 67th session of the UN General Assembly, former Serbian Foreign Minister Vuk Jeremic. Data from many sources show in November 2012, Patrick Ho and Jeremic, then UN General Assembly President, met for the first time at a China Energy Fund Committee event. At the end of December, Jeremic met with President Xi Jinping in Beijing, then visited Hong Kong at the invitation of Patrick Ho. 2 months later, at Jeremic's recommendation, Ho became the first Chinese to speak at a UN Interfaith Week. In March and early April 2013, accompanied by Jeremic, CEFC China Energy representatives and the chief executive of the Mexican National Oil Company reached a cooperative consensus on oil field exploitation. The next day, the CEO went with the President of Mexico to the Bao'ao Forum and signed an agreement to increase oil exports to China. Patrick Ho arranged for Jeremic to give the keynote speech at the forum. In June of the same year, Xi Jinping went to Mexico for a state visit. During this period, CEFC China Energy also paid a reciprocal visit to the Mexican National Oil Company to discuss cooperation. Entry and exit records in Patrick Ho's passport show he was in Mexico at the time.
Here we are in front of the courtroom. It's been a long morning, and the main witness in U.S. versus Ho has been Vuk Jeremic, former president of the General Assembly. Vuk Jeremic, as soon as he left being PGA, applied to be a consultant for a Shanghai-based business company.
Veteran American investigative reporter Matthew Russell Lee specializes in UN news. For the vital case of Patrick Ho, he attended the trial daily, delivering detailed reports. He once interviewed Jeremic in the elevator.
But what he testified to is very troubling. It showed that while he was the president of the General Assembly, he was working for CEFC China Energy. He took their money. He emailed with them. He did a lot of things. So it's surprising to me that the prosecutors, all the focus was on Patrick Ho, and they used his testimony to show how Patrick Ho made the connection. But in fact, what Jeremic did may be worse for the public. I said, how could you work for a private business while you were president of the General Assembly? He said, I'm not the defendant here.
Matthew scrutinized Patrick Ho's and Jeremic's emails disclosed in court and said he disagreed with Jeremic, responding to media inquiries that he didn't commit a crime.
They show that even while Vuk Jeremic his job was president of the General Assembly, he was doing a deal on something called potash, which is, I guess, is potassium. It's a mineral for CEFC. And he also, I'm now reading it even more closely, he was promising Patrick Ho that he could be a speaker in an event in the UN on a panel with President Gül of Turkey and President Zuma of South Africa. This is while he's already working for them.
我覺得呢啲所謂活躍於國際政治圈裏邊，咁呢啲公關嘅活動咧，實際上我哋就係叫做一啲權力同利益嘅一啲 trader 去拉攏做 deal 啊等等呢啲咁嘅嘢。你睇內地好多媒體咧，都公開講話，即係中國已經係一個大國啦，咁就要扮演國際事務裏邊咧更重要嘅角色，同埋咧要同美國爭奪嗰個對國際事務嘅話語權。咁所以我覺得何志平案本身佢唔係一個純粹民間嘅行為嚟嘅，我相信更大嘅可能性背後係軍方或者係所謂國家行為，對一啲敏感唔適合由官方處理嘅問題，係需要一個白手套咧去執行嗰個工作。咁佢變咗最大嘅好處咩咧？用呢種手段就係可以咧到出事嗰陣時咧劃清界線。
Jeremic revealed in court cross-examination that after being UN General Assembly President, he received at least $2.3 million from CEFC China Energy and its fund committee as a consultant and think tank member. A Serbian parliamentary document showed the fund committee hired Jeremic as a strategic advisor immediately after his departure as General Assembly President. Through the Serbian company's registry, we found that a day after leaving the presidency, Jeremic immediately set up a think tank that included as consultants a state witness in the Patrick Ho case, Sheikh Gadio, and Chinese Communist Party Central Committee member Li Wei. We'll have more relevant information after the break. Serbian independent media Antidots investigations in 2017, before Patrick Ho's arrest, revealed the relationship between China Energy Fund Committee, CEFC China Energy, and Vuk Jeremic, the 67th UN General Assembly President. A Hong Kong Connections reporter contacted the media editor Markle and obtained records provided by a local informant detailing the dates, amounts, and donor information of overseas contributions received by Jeremic's think tank. In order to verify the information, the reporter located a company in Hong Kong that said to have signed with the Serbian government an energy cooperation memorandum to verify it had donated money to the think tank.
想講翻即係內地同埋香港嘅商人喺嗰度嘅。哦 ，OK， 好。
In the end, the company replied to the reporter in writing. It confirmed donating to the think tank in 2014 and 2016 for academic research and publications, emphasizing no conflict of interest between its donations and the company's projects in Serbia. The information showed CEFC China Energy, its China Energy Fund Committee, and a related company donated nearly $4 million to Jeremic's think tank, together with the $1.3 million consultant fee admitted in court. The fund committee and CEFC China Energy paid nearly $5.3 million, or more than 40 million Hong Kong dollars. We tried to email and phone CEFC China Energy, but to no avail. We went to two related companies registered at the same address in a Wan Chai commercial building and found the office didn't even have a sign.
你好，早晨，我姓蔡㗎，我想揾呢大元行有限公司同埋國能香港係咪喺度啊？冇，我冇，佢哋註冊喺呢度㗎，但係我唔清楚啦。
The person in charge of the office later told us there's no way to contact the two companies.
我哋只不過借地址嚟啫，佢所有運作咧都唔經香港嘅，我哋即係幫佢收到信啊，我哋幫佢轉過去啊。至上海嗰邊都搬咗 office 㗎，到因為其實佢哋上高嘅變動都比較大啊。
After Patrick Ho's arrest, CEFC China Energy chairman Ye Jianming was immediately accused of economic crimes and arrested by the mainland government. The group has to sell its assets to pay off debts. The office at Convention Plaza Office Tower was empty. The China Energy Fund Committee's office in the same building has been sold.
孟晚舟事件同何志平事件最大嘅分別係咩咧？何志平到今日官方係完全唔認嘅，中國係冇民間外交嘅，亦都冇民間嘅任何嘅政治活動嘅。因為嗰個黨國機器咧係全面控制嘅，咁所以中國嘅民間外交就係一種官方裝扮成民間去逃避政治責任嘅外交手段。當中美之間由一個所謂戰略性嘅合作伙伴關係出現咗新變化嗰陣時咧，香港過去做開嘅嘢咧，唔代表我哋做嘅嘢係唔會 出問題。咁所以我覺得所謂香港角色，我哋自己要諗清楚。
In reconstructing the links between the Fund Committee and Jeremic, Hong Kong Connection noted the Chinese government's presence and the main theme of the Belt and Road Initiative. In early September 2013, President Xi Jinping first proposed the Silk Road Economic Belt concept. In the same period, Jeremic established a think tank with CPC Central Committee member and State Council Development Research Center Director Li Wei as an advisor. The two met often. In July 2014, Jeremic led a delegation to Mongolia, meeting the Mongolian president. Records in Patrick Ho's passport show he also visited Mongolia in the same period. And Antidot has information the China Energy Fund Committee during this time donated $1 million to Jeremic's think tank. During that period, President Xi Jinping was invited for a state visit to Mongolia to strengthen cooperation in the Belt and Road. In the same period, CEFC China Energy and Patrick Ho, mediated by Jeremic, went on to another Belt and Road country to discuss cooperation in the United Arab Emirates. Between 2014 and 15, the State Council Development Research Center and Jeremic's think tank jointly held many forums to promote the Belt and Road Initiative, and along with the China Energy Fund Committee, set up the Silk Road International Think Tank Network. Also in that period, CEFC China Energy-related firms donated to the think tank $1.49 million. In May 2016, after Jeremic announced his candidacy for UN Secretary-General, Li Wei met with the Serbian Prime Minister at his invitation. A month later, a CEFC China Energy-related company donated another $1.47 million to the think tank. Matthew served as a UN correspondent for many years. Since the beginning of last year, he's repeatedly questioned the current UN Secretary-General whether he'd conduct an independent investigation into Patrick Ho's case, but to no avail.
Bribery case, there's a verdict. China Energy Fund Committee. 7 counts of bribery at the UN, selling weapons for oil to Chad. No audit. Absolute corruption. No comment on the bribery case? Shocking.
Half a year ago, Matthew was accused of not complying with interview rules and disqualified from reporting within the United Nations. But he said he won't give up on the case.
You find that at least 2 countries, in the case of Patrick Ho, Chad, up to the level of the president, who was presented with cash in a box and an offer of weapons for oil, and the foreign minister of Uganda, who remains the foreign minister of Uganda, $500,000 by wire, they were paid bribes for access to natural resources.
Although Patrick Ho is only charged with bribing African officials, the prosecution has found Patrick Ho also assisted Iran in purchasing precious metal and even acted as an intermediary in arms trading in Libya, Qatar, and South Sudan.
成件事 out of proportion 嘅，你表面去睇，佢係一個失敗嘅 deal maker，行賄嘅數目亦都唔係咁大。但係點解美國會咁樣 expose 出嚟咧？我相信美國係已經開始去圍堵或者係阻截啊呢一啲用基金會嘅名義、用民間智庫嘅名義去滲透美國智庫同埋學術界，去製造一種親中輿論嘅行為，係視為咩咧？視為一種敵對嘅行為。嗱喺中美關係好嗰陣時，其實冇問題嘅喎。
Last December, Patrick Ho was convicted by a jury of 7 violations of overseas anti-corruption laws and money laundering. After the case came to light, the Chinese Foreign Ministry responded it didn't know the specific situation. Hong Kong officialdom also reacted coldly. Patrick Ho was a minister under Chief Executive Tung Chee-hwa, who didn't respond to media inquiries.
總監，何志平先生被定罪之後有冇咩回應啊？
Patrick Che and Patrick Ho have known each other for more than a decade. He still trusts Ho's character. He's repeatedly hinted that Ho is a victim of a complex political environment. But he also says he doesn't dare to evaluate who's right or wrong. He says he's shrouded by the Patrick Ho incident and will be very cautious in doing anything in the future.
做任何事咧都要有政治嘅觸覺，好敏感咯。就算你做生意都好，都係要好小心。牽涉到尤其是好多所謂嘅開發中嘅國家啦，咁好多譬如話非洲啊、南美洲啊，其實佢哋好多能源，咁大家都係爭住要去嗰邊購買或者開採，咁就會牽涉到好多利益嘅問題。所以咧我哋盡量去少接觸呢類嘅行業咯。太敏感啦！呢啲行業。
但係我相信何志平案係另外一個警號嚟嘅。香港過分地 position 自己喺一國嗰邊咧，佢好快會喪失兩制嗰個形象。即係香港人可能我哋淨係覺得啊，災落禍，何志平抵死，佢坐監啦咁。但係如果你放喺一個大啲嘅政治格局裏邊咧，其實呢個遊戲咧，我只可以咁講，香港人其實玩唔起。